Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so very much for tuning in to Trailblazers Radio. You guys are tuned into the Author's Alley. I am your host, Mr. Frederick Beatty. You guys could have been anywhere else, but you guys are right here rocking out with us, and I most definitely appreciate that. So I want to welcome you guys to Friday night, man. I hope your Friday has been well. Hope you guys have been doing well, and I hope you guys have been, taking care of each other and stay safe and stay out of these heat and the dog days of summer. But we got a great show for you guys tonight. I have a wonderful guest in the coming to the stage with us in a few moments. And before we do that, I just want to throw a couple of announcements, man. So I want to first and foremost, I want to give a big shout out to my brother, to my brother, Mr. No Limit SK for launching his only one apparel and promotions brand. I'm actually rocking this shirt right now. So if you guys want to check him out, you guys can go check him out at Only One Promotions and Apparel on on Facebook. And if you guys want to order a shirt or some other apparel, man, you guys go please do that and go support this young man. Also, I want to give a big shout out to my two beautiful hosts, Miss Quinn Jones and Coco Fenton. Those two ladies are doing some amazing things, and you keep your ears and eyes on the ground for those ladies because they got some great things coming up. Also, last but not least, a big shout out to my sis Angela Thomas Smith. Just want to say thank you, sis, for continually, you know, pouring into me and pushing me and supporting me. Also, want to give a big shout out to my best friend and my good friend Miss Monica Reese for pouring into me, pushing to me, and just giving me that oomph to keep going when I'm having a bad day. Last but most definitely not least, I want to give a big I want to say, all this is impossible without the man up above, which is God. Without Him, none of this is possible or even happen. So I want you guys to continue to follow us on Facebook at Trailblazers with a Z Radio. Also follow us on Instagram at Trailblazers Radio, and also subscribe to our YouTube page at Trailblazers Radio. So, without any further ado, this young man I got in the studio in studio with me right now does not need an introduction. So I'm gonna give this man the best introduction that I possibly can. So first and foremost, I met this gentleman when I submitted an article to his magazine, the Lyfe Magazine, and from that point forward, it's been nothing but brotherly love ever since, man. I truly appreciate this man for giving me a shot at being a freelance writer for the time I was able to, and for the time I was able to be with the Lyfe Magazine. It was an enjoyable time for me, but I truly appreciate this brother for doing that, for just giving me that chance. And we'll talk a little bit about that as the interview goes on, but we're also going to talk about his most recently released book, and we're going to get into that as well. But this is an awesome brother, an awesome editor, and just an awesome person all the way around, man. And I am so honored to first of all have him number one, have him in the studio with us, and also just I'm honored to be called brother, and also just be honored to be affiliated and associated with this gentleman. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to introduce to you guys Mr. Gerald Anderson SR. Brother man, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on? Good to be here, man. Thank you for the introduction.
Man, look, I had to do it, man. I had to do it, man. And for the folks that's out there in radio land and out there that's listening to us, man, I truly meant what I said. Man, I could not. I am very, very proud, very, very honored to be called brother to be a brother in a line with this man, because he gave me that opportunity as a freelance writer when other magazines and other platforms did not, and I'm so appreciative of that. And it just allowed me to expand my horizons and grow number one as a writer, but also as a in other areas as well. So first and foremost, man, I want to just thank you for that. For giving me that opportunity, man. It does not go unnoticed. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. It's good. You're always family. Once you become a writer on the Life magazine, we always consider you family. And so it was good, man. It was a great experience. I was looking for you to come back actually. So
Look now, see that's not out of the question now.
all right,
That's not out of the question now, and we'll most definitely talk about that offline. You know what I'm saying? But
okay.
look, I just want to jump right into this thing, man. So I mean, this is your first interview in like a year. What was the delay? What took you so long? Why you didn't jump back into the spotlight?
I kind of just like took some time. You know what I mean? The pandemic was going on and stuff,
Yeah.
so I kind of took some time away from interviewing, but that time wasn't like wasted because I don't know if you've been keeping account, but last year I put out 3 books, and
Oh,
then
I've been counting. I've been counting.
so that time wasn't going wasted. So even though I wasn't on the circuit, I was still writing. And then this is like the fourth since the pandemic. It started back in, for me, it started back in March of 2020. So this is like the fourth book that I've written and put out in that time. So, but it was time for me to get back out and start doing some interviews and getting back outside and start, marketing that book. You know, and I
Cool.
also, I have to say that I really do think this one is the best book that I've ever written, and that's the early feedback too. Is people who have read several of my titles also kind of concur with that this one is the best one. So, when you write for as long as I've been writing, which is 11 years, and
Wow.
18 titles out there, you get better as you keep writing.
Oh
So
yeah.
and I think that's a culmination of me getting better with the more books that I put out there, and just the story itself. Though I think it's just like one of my best ideas. So
I-
so all kind of came together in the perfect storm for this book to be the best one ever. So
that's what's up, man. That's what's up. So for those who don't for those on my for those of us in my audience who don't know you,
mhm.
um, how did you get your start? How did you get your start in writing?
Well, when I was in my master's program, and I graduated with my master's degree from the University of Cincinnati. And that last class that you have to take is a class that's the only one in that semester, and it's nothing but writing that last paper. And that last paper is like 50 of plus pages.
Woo.
That it has to be. So you're doing nothing but writing in that class. So after that class was over, I was like so burnt out with writing. I was like, well, academic writing. I said, you know what? It's time that I did some writing for myself. So I went into and started writing my first novel, We Come in Peace, and it took me 2 years to put that together and get it out there. So that's what actually got me started. And I enjoyed the process so much that it just continued on from that point. So We Come in Peace came out in 2010, so I've been writing for 11 years. Yeah.
That's a long time to be. Well, I won't say that's a long time to be writing, but that's quite a long time with 18 titles and 11 years of writing. That's a lot of creative juices flowing all at one time. I guess the secret. I guess my thing is, as a writer myself, that writes a myriad of writes a variety of writes in a variety of genres. How do you how do you keep your stories fresh? What's the secret to that?
Well, I think the secret is really just your creative juices. Because I tell people all the time, especially people who are aspiring to write fiction stories. You for me, they can come to me at any time, and what I've noticed is a lot of times I dream them. So
Ah,
I'll dream a part of the story, but if you dream it and wake up, and then sometimes you go back to sleep and stuff, you may forget the story. So I keep my phone's right by my bed, which has a recorder on it. So if I dream something, I'll either speak that dream into the phone and record it, so I won't forget it, or I'll type it into the phone so I don't forget it. So somewhere there's a record somewhere of what that dream was about. And ironically, one of my titles was called The Dream.
oh
I
man.
had a dream about that story, and so that it was called The Dream. But I do that, and so like my phone is my lifeblood. It's with me all the time. So every time I get a notion for a story, I put it in my phone, and then when I get a chance, I go and put it in my computer. I don't know if you know, like music artists like Prince. Prince passed away. There's this whole vault of music that he has. That's unpublished music that's sitting in his vault. That's kind of like how I am on my computer. I got like, I probably say easily 30 to 40 titles just sitting there with pieces of them written, so I don't forget.
Unfinished.
Right. So I have, even if I don't have something that pops into my head to write, I got a whole closet full of stories that I can pull from and write.
So you already got an arsenal behind you.
Right. So
That
that's what I tell people all the time. Keep whatever you got, and most people got a phone, so then they keep it with them. So keep
right.
the phone with you. Have a method of recording whatever that is you come up with, because you don't want to forget it.
Now see, I'm strictly old school. I got like 3 or 4 composition notebooks. I'm looking right now over on my little arm where I got like 3 or 4 composition notebooks that have all kind of stuff written into them, words past the margins and everything.
Yeah, that I can't use composition books. I have to have it electronically.
I guess because I look at myself as I'm still I guess I won't call myself old school, but I think for me I prefer to write it on paper first and
Mhm.
then transcribe it to my laptop or something like that. Just for some certain reason, it's just that's been my process for like the last 4 years, and I haven't changed it.
Right. Yeah. I mean that works for you. That works for you. I mean everybody's got to have their own. Got to be comfortable with their own way of getting that story out there. But whatever works for you, that's what you need to use. But
Exactly.
yeah. So what? But when if you're trying to keep that, get that notion or that feeling or whatever it is that tells you this could be a potential story, write that down at that moment because
Right.
you will forget it otherwise.
Right. Of course. Of course. So besides, now that folks know how you started in writing, who do you consider as writing influences? It can be someone that's known. It can be an author that's known, or it can be someone that's not known.
um, that influenced me. I tell you, when I was in the military, I was in the military for 20 years. I was stationed in Germany, and I met a good brother back then. His name was Carlton Bailey, and Carlton Bailey was an activist, you could say. And he was into Donald Goins. I know who Donald Goins
Oh
is.
yeah,
And so he had pretty much all of Donald Goins' books. And so when I met him, in Germany, it's a different world for us because we're Americans are the minority in Germany.
of
So,
course.
military people, we connect well over there. The camaraderie is close. So I'm in Carlton's room, and he shows me all these books by Donald Goins. And at the time I had not heard Donald Goins. And so he turned me on to Donald Goins, and I started reading, and that's when I really started to understand that Black people can write and put.
Yeah.
And he was writing about, he lived in the neighborhood. He stayed in the neighborhood, no matter how much money he made. He stayed there, and he wrote, and that's what he wrote about. So I think that inspired me and I felt like one day I would be a writer because of
Wow.
it. So
See now you're one of the rare people that say that that Donald Goins wasn't an inspiration for you to write, or someone that you were first exposed to as a reader and
mhm.
got you to write. That's for some people. I know for some people that's a rarity, but I'm gonna tell y'all right now, and I know my brother Gerald can attest to this. No, say what you want about Donald Goins. That dude was a hell of a writer.
He was. Yeah.
Y'all can sleep on that man, but he was a hell of a writer.
Well, I think a lot of people have a problem with what he wrote, but I admire what he wrote because he wrote about what he knew. He grew up in the neighborhood. These are all stories that he pulled from, and that's one of the first things that you learn as a fiction writer is write what you know.
Right.
And that's what he did. He wrote what he knew about. So you may not care for what he was writing about, but you have to respect the man as a writer. And he could have moved in some lavish home somewhere and lived off of his income, but he didn't. He stayed in the hood and continued to write.
Man, look.
So that's mad respect for me.
Oh, indeed, indeed. I mean, and it's rare. You write what you know about sometimes. I think that's something that I think all writers do anyway. It's based off our own personal experiences or what we've endured or what we've went through or even what we see, whether it's in our neighborhood or whether it's in the around the world or in the streets and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
I think so that's universal as far as I'm concerned. Now, you did 20 years in the military. Was it Air Force?
Okay. Is there any other?
See, we not gonna have this debate right now. Cause see, Aaron, see all y'all Airedales out there. I'm sorry, I'm a squid, so I got to poke fun somehow.
Yeah, okay.
I got to poke fun somehow. But I mean, 20 years in the Air Force. Was that that 20 years in serving active duty, was that did that also help kind of shape what you were to write about?
No, it didn't. I mean, I think the Air Force had its place in my life, and that meant and that means that the Air Force saved me at a young age because I joined the Air Force straight out of high school, pretty much. I graduated
Same
high
here.
school in June of '80, July of '80. I was in the Air Force, and I knew at that age because I was actually 17 when I signed up. In July, I turned 18, and then I went in. So I actually knew that I needed to get away. That my
Right,
situation at home wasn't ideal, and so I knew I had to get away to get my life going, and that's what I did. I joined the Air Force. I got away. I got to see things that if I'd have stayed in Tampa, I grew up in Tampa, Florida. If I'd have stayed in Tampa, I might not have ever seen. You know,
right,
I went away. I've been to other countries. I've been to, like I said, I've been to Germany. I've been to Korea. So I've seen a lot of stuff. And of course, you pull on a lot of that stuff when you start to write.
right.
Because
Wow.
you've had a lot of experiences around the world. You can pull on a lot of things from around the world.
Right.
Keep the books. So,
And the one thing that you meant, the one thing that I think that I think you kind of touched on, but didn't necessarily mention is that those experiences that you have, and when you experience other cultures and other places, those are things that you can pull on that, but you can also in a way relate to that if you especially if you've been in a place for a significant amount of time.
right.
And I know like when I because I went in the military same age as you did at around I signed up at 17, what September 1990, which is when I graduated. Well, September 1990, like 2 months after I graduated high school, I'm off on a plane to San Diego, California for boot camp. I'm like, oh Lord, I have no idea what's gonna go down. So to be exposed to those type of things and be exposed to other people, it taught me a great deal about number one about just being mindful and respectful of other people, but in other cultures, but also it taught me a great deal about other people in other cultures because I was like, wow, I'm like, this is what I've been missing. I ain't seen none of this.
Yeah, that's how I felt too. So yeah, even in basic training, you meet people from all across the country, you know,
Man,
and see that you're. And for me, that small little world in Tampa, you see a whole different group of people, and they are from all over the world, and I mean all over the United States, and you start to see that there are different ways of doing things,
exactly,
and
exactly.
the thing I love about the military, after 20 years, is that connection with those brothers of mine. I got guys that I've ran into uh, 20, 30 years later, and it's like we never lost a beat. You know,
Exactly. That
that,
that bro-
that,
that brotherhood.
yeah, that is that brotherhood. I had a friend of mine come through town a few weeks ago, and he was like hit me up on Facebook, say, "Hey, I'm in town. We meet up and we eat." It's like, hey, like we was just hanging out together in Germany or something.
Never lost a step. It's the one, and that's the one thing I like about it. I loved about it too is that brotherhood and that camaraderie that you get from a lot of people. I mean, it's just like me, just like you. I've ran across a couple of cats that I've served with,
Mhm.
um, and we just talk like we hadn't even been away from each other for an extended period of time. Like,
Right.
and I love it, man. I love it to be able to reconnect with some of my brothers, you know, that serve. And it doesn't, man. For me, I'm cool. I was cool with everybody who served wherever. I got Army buddies, I got Air Force buddies, I have Marine buddies. I mean, some folks that I served with in the Navy, and
Mhm.
also had some Coast Guard buddies that I knew for a while. So that brotherhood with no matter what level, no matter which branch of service you're in, that brotherhood remains constant.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
So, man, so the one thing that now I most definitely want to jump into this to your recent release. So,
Okay.
but before I do that, what? Because just for me reading the synopsis of that book, it comes off as, and this is just what I thought. I said, okay, this might be some espionage or some military fiction or somewhere along that line. But the question I want to ask you speaks to the majority of what you've written thus far. I know that you wrote a book about domestic violence, and some other books as well. But what genre do you think that you fit in the most?
Christian fiction.
There we go. There we go.
That's the number one. I do write in other genres, like the latest one is actually a mystery thriller, with a touch of romance in there. But
Huh?
the most of my books are Christian fiction, and like the book you just mentioned about domestic violence is Standing Firm. That happens to be the best selling book of all time for me. And that book is about domestic violence, and it touched a lot of people. You know, and yeah, that one will last a long time.
Indeed.
It was a very good book. A lot of people benefited from that book. So,
Now that was a book that was turned into a movie, right?
and it was turned into a movie. Yeah, absolutely.
Look, y'all, I'm gonna tell y'all right now. If y'all ain't seen Standing Firm, I implore y'all to please go watch it. It is, first of all, it's a very powerful story,
Yeah.
and but it also drives home a very very specific message, and it ain't gonna be one of the messages that you ain't gonna be able to get until the end of the movie. You gonna get the message right then and there. You gonna get the message before you get halfway.
Right.
So I implore you guys to, if you haven't watched that movie, please go watch it. It's a very powerful and very profound movie, and I'll make sure that when we before this interview is over, we'll get that link and everything like that to where they can watch it and everything of that nature. But now, talking about the Death Knights.
Okay.
Now, I'm thinking like, okay, this sounds like this is gonna be one of those espionage thrill rides, and just from reading the synopsis, without giving away any details of the book. Well, before we do that, what what was your influence, or what inspired you to write this book in particular?
A dream. I tell you a lot of stuff. I myself have some dreams. But yeah, I woke up one morning and had this story on my mind, and sometimes you get a little bit of the story, and, just like one little piece, and you piece it all together from there. Sometimes you get a lot of the story, and you go from there. This particular time, I got the idea of seven assassins, which is what the Death Knights are. They're assassins, and but they didn't just grow up to want to be assassins. They were made into assassins. So,
Mm,
so you had 100 boys that were kidnapped, and so all I'm saying is in the synopsis too. So
gotcha.
uh, you had 100 boys that were kidnapped, and so they were beaten and tortured and brainwashed until there was only seven of them left, and those seven became the Death Knights, and they're controlled by an off-book CIA agent.
Uh
So
oh. So it sound like these guys do some wet work.
yeah, and then of course you got to have that 3 act deal that goes on with books, and books and movies.
Right.
So you had the main character that realizes that this is all wrong, and something in his life has changed and made him start to realize this is wrong. His memories are trying to fight through, and he's trying to get his life back. So and then meaning he has to go against his brothers.
Mm,
That the Death Knights are like a brotherhood. There's seven of them. They have rules that if you fight another Death Knight, there's rules that you have to go by.
mm.
So, and eventually he has to fight them all one by one.
Oof. Wow. So, what type of research went into that? I mean, I'm pretty sure there was some sort of extensive research into this.
Um, Really, a lot of it was things that I've learned through being in the military. And after the military, I worked for the federal government for 20 years. So a lot of stuff I picked up just because I know things.
Right.
And those when it came to things that I didn't know, of course, you do have to research it, and you have to figure some stuff out. you know, as you go along.
Ask some questions, maybe.
Ask some questions, yeah, talk to some people. But yeah, you have to do some of that depending on what you know about the topic. Remember, you write what you know.
Mm-hmm. Of
But
course.
yeah, the most of the death nights and the setting that it starts out in Florida is my old neighborhood. So I knew the neighborhood, so I didn't have to worry about any of that. So there's a lot of stuff, and I live in D.C., so a lot of the book takes place. Well, I live in Maryland actually, but I know a lot about the D.C. area, so that was that's always the hard part is the setting of your story. What do
Mm.
you set your story? Because after 18 titles, I can't use DC every time. So you got to pick different settings. So again, you go back to writing what you know. If you've been there, you lived there any kind of time, you got your setting. You can set your
Got
story
it.
there. So
Got you.
yeah.
It, and it seemed like I said, because then you mentioned like it was 100 boys that were kidnapped. Only 7 of them remained. These boys were tortured, thrown through some rigorous training, and it seems like a lot of those they were conditioned to be these these killers, and then one of your main character realizes that he's more than a killer, he's human, or he's beginning to humanize himself. How easy or how difficult was that to do with your main character?
Um, well, for him it didn't all happen at once. So he had an event. I'm trying to give it away, but
Well, I
he had
mean,
an event that happened
okay.
that started his memory to coming back. They didn't all come back at once. It came back in pieces, and he's starting to try to fit these pieces together with what was placed in his mind through the brainwashing, and
Hmm.
that was the biggest brainwashing was the biggest portion of the research was
Right.
you know
How to
learning
how to get that right.
yeah, how to get that as right as you can possibly get it. For a fictional story. People have to remember this is fiction, so some things are exaggerated and stuff. So anyway, so you don't want him to have his memory come all the way back at once. He gets it back
Mm.
in pieces, and he's confused with what pieces are real, what pieces are not. So he goes through all of this in order to come out on the other end as this man that he should have been. If he hadn't have been kidnapped.
Right. I get it. I understand that. Cool. So, I guess the one thing that I want to ask, and this is something that I haven't asked any author that I've talked to, um, since I've been podcasting, but it's one thing that I'm curious about. You know, as for you as a writer, now, how important is it? How important is it to you when it comes to your characters, whether they're the primary character, the secondary character, the tertiary character, or whatever, or whomever? How important is it to you to humanize those characters to the point to where the reader is able to identify with them in some way, shape, or form?
I think that's very important to be able to have your character be identified. You have your readers identify with your characters. And it's funny you said that because I had someone who was writing a book, and they sent the book to me to review and edit. And so I read the book, and I was like, this main character is just not getting it.
Ah,
You don't she doesn't seem like somebody that you can identify with. So we worked on her character and worked on her, and she had let other people read the book, and they came back with whatever opinions that they had. I don't necessarily know what they were, but
right.
so we worked on the character, worked on the story, and basically redid the whole thing. And then she sent it back to those people to read, and they were like, "Oh yeah, this is hitting it right here." So
Right.
what it started doing was it started making people to identify with who that main character was. So you have to be able to identify with that main character, and so yeah, that's one of the most important pieces of the story.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Now, for me, character development is something that happens prior to me even writing the story. For some
Mm.
people, character development happens as they're writing the story. So, which one of those are you as far as your when you create your characters? Do you develop them prior or do you develop them as you're writing?
I'm the latter as I'm writing. So I may have an idea of what I want this character to be like, but I think I really put all of everything that person is going to become as I'm writing it. And with the character, main character in the Death Knights is Brandon Alexander. So, but with Brandon, I kind of knew what I wanted Brandon to be like all the way through, and I think he exemplifies that person that, he was a good kid, taken out the streets at 16 years old, forced into this brainwashing, torture, and everything, and he comes out on the other end. And as he starts to get his memory back, he's still that good kid, but he's trying to get past that program. So he's struggling
Mm,
with that. That's the battle that he has to try to overcome, is to overcome that brainwashing. So his wasn't that difficult.
right.
It's a character that you wanted, that I wanted. And if you go back to Standing Firm, since we talked about that a little bit, that character, Rain Davis, is the main character in that book, and she's the woman that ends up getting abused and all. So she was a fun character to create because she was the kind of character, she was the kind of woman that she was the youngest of the three sisters, and she thought she was the best of them as far as singing goes, because it's about singing. She wants to be a singer, a star, and so she thought she was the best singer, and she thumbed her nose up at her family and stuff like
Mm,
that. So she was fun to create. But that book, most people read that book, and the character named Lawan Craig is pretty. A lot of people end up liking her as their favorite character. So these characters, though, they what Standing Firm really taught me was character development is so important,
mm,
because people were identifying with these characters. you know, they
right.
really got close to them, especially Rain, because either somebody that's been abused, or you've been in abusive relationships and stuff. So a lot of people would identify with who Rain was and how she acted in that story.
Mm, wow. That's what's up, man. I like that. Now, on the subject of writing female characters,
Mhm.
now for me, writing female characters and for me is somewhat difficult because there is a there's an emotional attachment that you have to create for, especially for if it's a female reader, you have to create that emotional attachment for a female character, and I found that really difficult in my first book because because of the emotional upheaval that the character was going through, and I was like, and I was caught, and I was, as a writer, you end up, I'm pretty sure you can attest to this yourself, you get caught up in that too as well as you're writing it.
Mhm.
Was writing a female character easy for you or was it difficult for you?
No, it was difficult for me. Because the first real female character, main character that I had to create was Rain Davis in Standing Firm. The main character in the book before that, 27 Hours, there was a female main character, but there was kind of, she wasn't like the forefront like Rain is. So
Right.
a lot had to go into Rain, and making Rain who she was. The thing that helped me in that story though was what Rain had to go through, and I understood that because I've witnessed people going through domestic violence.
Right.
Heard stories about that in my family about domestic violence.
Mm.
So I pulled a lot from that, and I created the character of Rain, who she was, from just her personality traits, to make her you in the first act you want to show her as this confident, I'm the best there is, and but then you want to see that she's willing to do anything she has to do to get that contract, get that
Right.
contract. And then once she gets it, act two, she's now in this, she's gotten to the top, and now she's struggling because she's in an abusive relationship. So
Wow.
a lot of rain came from what she was going through, and then you just added the personalities to her.
Right. I know for me there were I know for me there were difficulties in writing one of my female characters, which is when my in my first book, Karina, because of the visceralness of her experiences. She was, and this is not well. I don't mind giving stuff away at this point because I think enough people have read it and asked me those questions. But to write a character who was who had a mother and father, but the father left. Mother literally killed herself over the father, and then from this character bounces from foster home to foster home, only to be sexually abused by the foster father, and have a child, only for the foster mother to kill the child, and then
Mm.
from that to leaving and resorting to the streets. And I'll say this to anybody because a lot of people didn't look at it from that point. The character that I wrote, Karina, that I wrote was actually a working girl,
Mhm.
and nobody like, wait a minute, really? That's what you wrote? Yeah, that's what I wrote. And to kind of for me to connect all those visceral experiences, not only the trauma of being sexually abused, but also having a child by her abuser, but also having a child taken away from her by murder, and then now resorting to being a streetwalker was I found that a very difficult transition to kind of put two and two together with that for where we're equal four. What for your character Rain? What did you use to kind of bring all that together as far as like those visceral experiences that she had from Act Two forward?
Yeah. Well, I basically pulled on the experiences that I witnessed as far as women that have gone through domestic violence. So, hearing their stories and talking to them about their stories, you know, a lot of the scenes that are in that book come from actual stories that people have experienced. There's one scene in the movie and in the book where her abuser is beating her with a belt. That was somebody's story. That was
Wow,
something I just made up myself.
that
You know,
was somebody's story.
somebody's actual story. So, remember, you always go back to you write what you know.
Exactly.
And so that's how that piece of information into that scene got into that book, was because that was somebody's story that actually happened to them. So
Wow.
I created that scene so it happened to rain. So
Wow. That's and I like that. I like that because again, it speaks to the visceralness of the situation, but it also
mhm,
speaks to the truth of the situation.
right,
And
which is what I really like. I like to do in all of my books is I design my books to entertain people, but while I'm entertaining them, I'm sneaking them some education.
oh yeah, most
That's,
definitely, most
that's
definitely.
what I really like to do with all of my books. Is somehow I got while I got you entertained, I'm also teaching you something. Because like with domestic violence, you want to get more word out about domestic violence.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
That
And
was
it's
that was the process behind that one, was to let people see that this stuff is still going on. You know.
right, right. So, but because we know standing firm is gonna be that's gonna be your baby right there.
Yeah,
Regardless. But how's the response been for the Death Knights?
good. It's been great actually. The Death Knights has gotten a really good response so far, and I haven't even really hit the trail yet. I've done some. Um, you know, this is like I said, his first interview in a year, so I'm revving up to get out there and get some stuff going. But I've already sold most of, almost the entire first batch of books that I've purchased. You know,
Wow.
it's going great. So I tell people now, get them now. You know, get them now while you can.
Wow. And it's good. It's good to have that that positive feedback,
Mhm.
and you know, just to have people be thoroughly amazed about what you do. I mean, and this is and I'll say this for a lot of for people that for my audience for my audience that don't know you. This book will be is a great introduction to getting to know who you are as a writer. So
Okay.
I most definitely say that to our audience. So if you guys are curious about what this gentleman has going on with the Death Knights, you're gonna have to purchase a book to find out. This is a great introduction to know who this powerful young man is as a writer. But switching gears now, you're also the editor in chief of a magazine
Right.
that that I'm so proud that I'm very proud to be part of that family, and looking forward to trying to integrate myself back into that family again. So tell everybody about the Life magazine.
Okay. Life Magazine is another of one of my babies. I bought it in 2000, late 2016. Put out the first issue under my management in January 2017. So we've been going for coming up on 5 years. We've been going along as a magazine. So we come out quarterly. We put out a quarterly issue. We're a Christian-based magazine. It's just a lifestyle magazine. We try to put out positive news. And not that we try to put out positive. We put out positive news,
Right.
and we try to educate people. We try to entertain them, and we try to put out stories about people that you may not have ever heard of. And so, that's we could post stories about celebrities and actors and actresses that you hear about all the time. But why? There are other magazines for that. We want to put out information about people you don't know, but you need to know because these people are doing some positive things. It's positive news, and that's what we want people to get that message that we instead of sharing getting a million views on a fight that occurred in McDonald's parking lot or something. We want to hear about the good news, that's happening out there, the good things that people are doing, and that's what the Life magazine was all about.
Man, it's and it was that's it's such a rarity nowadays to have magazines that do that. I mean, you know, and I can speak for my own involvement in it that it was tremendously um, beneficial to a lot of people, especially people that I talked to them about the magazine, and they actually read it for themselves,
Hmm.
and they were like, "Well, geez, I mean, how can I get this? Well, you gotta subscribe, man. Get your get your subscription, and you good to go." I will say this that it was for me it was the most positive experience ever just to be around you, Miss Tina, Shantae, and all the other contributing writers was amazing because again these are people that a lot of us don't know about, but
Right,
you need to know who these people are.
right.
And I found it. Every time I look, and I know you guys are quarterly now, but even now I have a subscription, so I make sure I tap in all the time.
Okay.
But every issue that I looked at, I see now it's always an interesting read from front to back because
Hmm.
it's always going to be something that's going to educate you. It's always going to be something that's going to empower you, that's going to uplift you, that's going to motivate you. And then you guys have these wonderful articles about these amazing people
Right.
that I think we all should know about. And
Hmm.
I'm like, I'm gonna have to put myself back into the fold again because I mean I didn't know what I truly didn't know what I was missing until I actually missed it. And just and like you said earlier, it's family.
That's right. Yeah,
And
currently we have on the summer issue that we have out right now. We have Tyler J. She's a rising actress, you know
oh
that, and she's a brand ambassador. I think she has like she represents like 100 brands or something like that.
wow, I actually read that article. That was wonderful.
Yeah, so she's rising up. So we got her now, so we can say she was on our cover first before she ends up on one of the
Somebody else's cover.
yeah, she was on ours first. So we've had in that same issue we also have the current Miss Miss for America pageant winner, who's a young lady. She's black young lady from Ohio. And she tried like 21 times to win the pageant, and on a 22nd try, which was going to be her last chance to try because she was going to age out, she won.
Wow, that's what's up, man. That's,
That was the Ohio pageant that she finally won. Then she ends up winning the national one too. So,
wow, that's what's up, man. That's cool, man. And I noticed you guys are actually doing some things on Instagram too, like with little video shorts and stuff.
yeah, we're doing what's called a positive media moment, and that's featuring Buff Patterson. She's a comedian actually in Los Angeles, California. That's now has become our roaming reporter. so she's
Wow,
so
that's
she's going out again, we're still trying to fulfill that positive media. We want to put out stories that you may not heard about. And this week's story was a story about um, from back in the day about a woman who got over slavery and got free from slavery, and she ends up being like one of the rich people in Los Angeles, California. So
oh man.
yeah, we try to put those. They're only about 1 or 2 minutes long, but we want that again. It's positive media that we're trying to push out there to people. So we try to push that out every Friday on our social media platform, and hopefully it'll one day catch on and people start getting inundated with that positive media instead of that negative stuff that's out there.
I'm gonna tell you, I ain't gonna front. I ain't gonna front. I be looking forward to that. I ain't gonna even front. I be looking forward to that positive media moment because you have to have something that's gonna make you feel good about yourself and uplift you and empower you
Right,
because you and you are we both know that this media thing is just oversaturated with a lot of negativity and speculation and everything of that nature.
right.
To have that one positive thing that could probably bring some light to someone's day is, I think, is a very very good thing.
Hmm.
And to have a comedian do it, that's a genius move right there.
Yeah, because that's their job is to make people laugh, bring, laugh and be positive and being happy. You know,
Exactly, and I like how she delivers it with such energy and passion, and that's what makes it even more. That's what makes it even more appealing.
right? Yeah.
So, I mean, you've been doing the book thing for a while. You've
Mhm.
been doing the magazine thing for a while, for now at least 4 years now. So, same question, but on two separate fronts.
Mhm.
For the books that you write, where do you see yourself writing? Where do you see yourself as a as a book writer in the next couple of years? And where do you see the magazine platform in the next couple of years?
Well, first with the books, I just continue to write. Um, I tell people all the time, if you get in the writing business, you want to become an author to be rich, you're in the wrong business.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, you could get rich, but it's not as easy as you might think it is.
Oh
So
yeah.
I told myself years ago that regardless of how much money I made, it's not about the money. It's more about the writing, because writing these stories actually is therapeutic. You know, it takes you away to another place that you created. You make your own world, and you populate it with the people that you want to populate it with, and it takes
Mm-hmm.
your mind away from whatever problems you may have in your life, so it's therapeutic to write, and so I write, and I got the publishing thing down. So I get them out the door and publish them. So it's not about the money for me, but you will see more stories coming. I already have the next book is already written. It's just a matter of uh, once I'm done marketing and going hitting the trail for the Death Knights. Once that's over, then guess what? Fatal Misperceptions will be out. So
back in the lab again, huh?
but I don't even have to go in the lab because it's already written.
Already written.
All I can do is publish it. And it's already it's going through beta readers right now. So I mean, I'm already ahead of the game as far as the next book will come out. And that's just the next 2 years. I'll just keep going the same way. If I happen to hit the New York Times bestseller, great. If I don't, I'm still putting out books.
There you go. Gonna keep pushing out that product, huh?
That's right, because I have people all the time that tell me they enjoy the stories. They look forward to reading the next one. That comes out, and so it's those people. There's some people out there who always buy my books, no matter what. You know, and those are the people you do this for. Because
Exactly.
they really get into your stories. They read them and they give you feedback and everything. So it's like I said, it's not about the money. It's just about writing and continuing to write.
That's
And
what's up. That's what's up.
as far as the magazine goes, we're gonna keep doing the same thing. We're gonna keep putting them out there. I mean, and now the magazine is kind of flipped in a different way. We used to be like pounding the ground trying to find people to get on the cover and in the magazine and stuff. Now it's like people are coming to us. We're getting emails virtually every day. Saying, hey, what about this person? And we're not only getting people, we're getting people that have representation, have managers,
Mm.
so the managers are contacting us to say, hey, we how do we get on your magazine? They want to get on your radar. So the magazine is getting a lot of visibility right now. So
Wow. That's what's up, man. And I think even when I started with you guys, it was it was always building up to that, toward the visibility. I think it was always building up towards that, and now that you guys are doing it quarterly, and then now you got a lot of people that's seriously on y'all radar, that's coming to y'all with email. Now you guys are getting inundated with emails and probably like and maybe calls or text messages and things of that nature for folks wanting to be on the cover of the magazine or wanting to be have an article done about them. I think that for me, just from seeing the build up to it,
mhm.
from when I started to now, I was because I saw the difference from when I started to your summer issue now. It was always that eventuality that
Right.
it was gonna blossom into something a lot bigger than what I would have personally imagined.
Mhm. Yeah, we're actually having to turn people away now.
Oh man.
So that's a a good problem to have.
Oh yeah.
We don't like turning people away, but sometimes we have to turn them away because we don't have enough room. The layout is the layout, so we
Right.
don't have enough room. We did a little survey to see how much magazine people like, and so we kind of settled in on the number of pages, and our layout is what it is now. But yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with the jazz singer, the not singer, but jazz musician Gerald Albright.
I am.
Okay, his wife's team reached out to us, and she's going to be on the cover.
Ooh.
Uh, she's I think they call her the Waffle Queen, but
Ooh.
she runs Glennis's Kitchen. So
Ooh.
look for that in the fall. That's in October, the fall 2021. I had the pleasure of interviewing her, and it was an amazing.
Wow.
She was an amazing person. Just talk to them, and I grew up listening to Gerald Albright's music. You're like, wow, this dude is talented. You never thought that one day you'd be having a conversation with his wife. You know,
Right.
and she's just a real down to earth person. It's just, I mean, you imagine these big time celebrities to be, something that they aren't. They're just normal people like you and I. So,
Yeah. Exactly,
But
exactly.
that's the kind of people that are reaching out to us now.
Wow, that's gonna be good. That's gonna be some good things. So many good things that's coming down the pike with you guys. I mean, I love it, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of what the magazine has and more of the articles in the magazine, and also your cover stories. And I'm also, like I said, and we'll talk offline. I'm also looking forward to try to get, put myself back into that realm. But you know, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
But for those who want to, or if someone's looking to be like a freelance writer, to write for a particular for a magazine such as this one, what what would they need to do?
You got to have like a resume of your writing, that you can submit, because most magazines or most periodicals are going to ask you for a writing sample.
Right,
You need to have a writing sample ready to go that you can submit. So that's going to be the number one thing. But and you want to make sure that when you research, because not every magazine is going to want your writing, whatever you're writing about. So
right.
if you submit to a magazine that covers your area, you know, you don't want to be a music writer and you submit to Sports Illustrated.
Yeah, because it ain't gonna work.
They can't use you.
Nope.
So that's an exaggeration, but basically what I'm saying is just research what that magazine's about before you make your request.
Right. And the good thing, and I say this to those guys who are freelance writers or upcoming freelance writers. I will say I can say this with confidence about this particular magazine because I work with them, and I work with Mr. Anderson and Shantae and Miss Tina and everyone else that's the permanent staff. It's it's a multi-talented and multifaceted magazine. Um, I'll say I was allowed to write, you know, political stats, political observations, and things of that nature within limits. Because remember, this is it's a magazine that delivers positive messages. So there has to be a positive message in between political rantings. So this is a good platform to jump on if you're a freelance writer and you want to be able to expand your portfolio, because Mr. Gerald, Miss Tina, um, I'm not sure if is Miss Shantae still on your staff, still
Yeah.
writes.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, he's a valuable asset to the Life magazine.
man, I love y'all to you and Shantae. I love y'all to death. I love y'all to life, man. And I got it. We got it. I gotta get. We gotta get back in. I gotta get back in contact with her because I really want to have her on this platform if she's willing and able to.
Hmm. Okay.
But you guys are the best. Are the best, man. I mean, I am. Again, I'm so proud. I'm so proud to call you a brother, and call Miss Shantae and Miss Tina and everybody on the staff a sister, and to be a part of such a to be a part of such a wonderful platform and to be associated with such great people, man. I can't thank y'all enough, you and Shantae enough for giving me that chance to do that.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I've reached a point where I got a good sound board of directors now, and I get
Good.
a lot because they're all women.
Oh
it's
yeah, of course.
it's five of them, and it's five women, and they keep me straight. They keep it, and I think we got a good group right now. We got some good things going. We're gonna have our first annual awards show next year in February.
Oh,
Um, that's coming. Look for that in February 22nd, I believe it is.
that's gonna be major.
Yeah. So
That's gonna be
we've
major.
already made the nominations. We've already released the nominations to everyone to see who's been nominated and for what award. So that they're sitting on the edge of their seats to see who won.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up.
But
So,
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention my board of directors because
yeah, because
and,
I'm pretty sure somebody gonna say something like, "You didn't mention us."
yeah. So like you said, Tina, Tina Marie Hollywood, Tina Scotland, same person.
Yeah.
And Shantae Wilson, Renata Smith, Burl Brackett, and Lala Hadia.
Yeah.
So that's my 5 board members right now.
Hey, that that's all you need. Great thought or with great thought processes, and since they're all women, so it's gonna it's always gonna be a consensus when it comes to something.
Yeah, they keep me straight.
Oh yeah, gotta be able to have somebody keep you on your toes, man.
Right.
But but before we conclude this interview, there's a couple things I want to ask of you.
Okay.
The first thing is, this is a question that I always ask authors, independent artists, people in business, what and whomever. We all know that life is a marathon, and at some point in that marathon, we're running in one of 3 stages. The beginning stage, to where we're just coming out the gate and beginning to get our stride. The middle stage, to where we are at our stride and we're running at a good pace. Or the end stage, to where we see the finish line and we're at the home stretch and we're pushing toward that finish line. In this particular marathon, when it comes to books, life, magazines, everything, what part of this marathon are you at right now?
Hmm. Okay. That's a difficult question because I'd like to think that I'm either at the beginning or the middle because I don't want to be at the end. The end,
Exactly, exactly.
nobody wants to be at the end. I don't think so. Yeah, I tell people a lot of times that you keep pressing. You may get to that point where you want to stop. And we all get frustrated
Of
and we
course.
want to quit. You want to fast forward your way to the end of the marathon and quit. But you can't. You just got to keep going and never stop doing what you've been doing. You know, uh, and that's what again I over the past 4.5 years or so. Uh, One of them board members that said you can't quit. No matter how much you want to quit, you can't quit. And they end up picking me up and carrying me the next few steps until I get myself together,
Right.
get back on the path. So the journey will, for me, will always come until I get called home by the Lord.
There you
I'm
go.
gonna be working and working and working until that day. So,
That's what's up. I like that answer. I love that because a lot of people will say, and I've had a couple of people say that they were at the end of the marathon. I mean, and I kind of understand what they were meant because it was for them it meant transition from one thing to another.
mhm.
So the second thing I want to ask of you is I want you to give yourself a shameless plug. I want you to tell our audience, who you are, you know, the name of your most recently released book, the name of the magazine, and where they can find both of them at.
Okay. My name is Gerald C. Anderson Sr. And make sure you put it that way, Gerald C. Anderson Sr., because otherwise you'll get some actor guy that I've never heard of before, but otherwise you'll get him. So put Gerald C. Anderson Sr. My latest book is called The Death Knights, and of course the magazine is the Lyfe Magazine. So you can get all the information on the Lyfe Magazine at thelifemagazine.com, and life is spelled Lyfe. So it's thelifemagazine.com. From any of my books, you can reach me on GeraldCAndersonSR.com, which is my website. It has all the novels on it. The ebook short stories are not on my website, but you can download those from Amazon if you like.
Cool.
That's it.
Now, can they find you on social media like Facebook or Instagram?
They can find me at Gerald C. Anderson Sr. on Facebook and Instagram. And the Life Magazine, you can find the Life Magazine is the Life Magazine on Instagram, and then it's on Facebook. Unfortunately, the Life Magazine was taken, so we couldn't use it, so we had to use My Life Mag. So
That works. That works. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want you guys, number one, to please, 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 and I cannot stress this enough. Please support us. Please support us as authors and writers. Reviews help us tremendously. Um, you know, it doesn't hurt to like a post or share a post. You know, you don't have to necessarily purchase a book to show support, but if you do purchase a book, please leave a review because
Right.
it helps us tremendously as writers because it helps us improve our craft and it also helps it also helps you because it allows us to bring more wonderful stories like the Death Knights or like Standing Firm to you.
Right.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to some and reintroduce to others my brother, editor in chief of the Lyfe Magazine, author extraordinaire, the author of the most recently released book, The Death Knights, Mr. Gerald C. Anderson Sr. Sorry about that.
No problem.
So, first and foremost, man, I want to thank you so very much for coming on to this platform tonight and just blessing us with your presence and your energy and your enthusiasm for what you do, um, your enthusiasm for writing your books and also contributing to this wonderful magazine that's been going strong for 4 years now. Um, First and foremost, I want to wish you so the best, so much of the best in all your endeavors, whether it's anything that you endeavor to do. I wish you the best in. Um, I want to I want to continue. I know I'm going to continue supporting you as a writer and also as a magazine creator. So I know I'm going to keep doing that, and I'm going to try. I'm going to most definitely encourage people to tap into your talent, tap into this magazine because it's positive, it's great, it's positive, and it has a positive message. But also tap into your work as an author because even in the espionage thriller, there's still a message. There's still a message to be seen in that, and
Right.
I can't wait to dive into that to see what the message is.
Right. Okay.
Well
Appreciate
again,
it.
man, no problem, man. Thank you so very much for tuning in to us, man. Before we go, man, I want to leave you guys with one thing, and this is just a thought. This is just a thought for this evening. The path to being a better person begins with a self evaluation. It continues with forgiveness of oneself and others. It continues with self praise, self love, self appreciation, self awareness. All these things contribute to the path of being a better person. The question is, do you want to be a better person, or do you want to be the same person that you are right now? The choice is yours. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in tonight, man. I want to thank my very special guest, Mr. Gerald C. Anderson Sr. for coming on and blessing us with his enthusiasm and his energy. Please check out his recent release book, The Death Knights, which is currently available right now on his website. And also check out the Lyfe Magazine. That's the Life, which is spelled Lyfe. And check out the summer issues. Guys, it's got some great articles, great personalities, and great talent on there. So please check that out. And on that note, I want you guys to continue to be safe, take care of each other, and most of all, love on each other. This has been the Author's Alley and I'm your host, Mr. Frederick Beatty. You guys continue to be safe, and I love you, and there ain't nothing you can do about that. See you guys later.